Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College Application and Website Development AWD1000 Web Development Technologies class, I've been creating a very simplistic website and having it kind of go along with different things that are in the book. In the last video that I created, I explained what I did to create this home page right here. Alright? And in this one, I'm going to go over both the code that allowed us to create this About page, alright, so the HTML and the CSS. Alright, now, I was going to do this at the end, but I think I'm going to come in and do it right now just so you're all aware of this. So what's left after this? Alright, the next video I hope to create after this one is to make our current website responsive. It really isn't responsive at all right now. Alright, so that's one thing I want to do. Other things that I would like to do. Well, you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to bring up Muroc.com, and I'm going to actually bring it up twice. Let me bring it up and then bring it up again. Alright, and here for Muroc.com, alright, let's bring them both up. Oops. Alright, so with this first one, let's go under Web Design Books, and let's find the book we're using for this class, which is right here. Table of Contents. We had our little introduction to web development. You're learning how to code and test, and let's validate before we finish this lecture. Alright, I'm trying to show you how to use some HTML to structure a page. We've gone into CSS for formatting. We haven't really talked about the box model in here yet, but we have talked about using CSS for page layouts. Alright, you've done a little bit of work with lists, with hyperlinks, and with our navigation. And again, in the next lecture, we hope to make this responsive. So let's keep going on and seeing what else we have. We're making this responsive, but right now we're only using simple CSS, which has a lot of floats in what we have right now. What I hope to do after we go through the responsive section is the next lecture, I hope, is CSS Flexbox, which is kind of an alternative to doing a lot of the floating. After that, CSS Grid Layout. Now, these two things are not technically mutually exclusive from one another, but we're pretty much going to handle them as though they are. So that'll get us Flexbox and Grid Layout. We've done some work already with images. We'll do some more. We'll add a favicon in here. So we'll put in that images and icons. Again, including favicons. All right. Let's see. Tables and forms. Well, I don't know if this website is really conducive to creating a table, but you know what? We're going to find a way to make one anyway. So, tables, forms. We've done a little bit of work with forms because as of right now, when we created this is set up as a very simple form. When we get to the form part, we're going to come into here. We're going to create a very simplistic contact form, and we're going to create it probably in 3 or 4 different ways. At a minimum, I'm going to create a very simple contact form that's got no validation in it whatsoever. Then we'll go back and we'll recreate that, all right, and we will add the built-in, so to speak, HTML5 form validation. We'll put that in. All right, that'll kind of be one form, because first we'll do it with no validation, then we'll redo it with validation. But the built-in HTML5 validation. So that's one that we'll do. Then we'll go back and we'll assume that the person has an older browser that doesn't support the HTML5 validation. So we'll add our own validation using JavaScript. All right. Then we'll come back and we'll refine that. All right. So we'll have yet another one that instead of using just generic or vanilla type of JavaScript, we will use Jquery. And we're going to do Jquery either once or twice. All right, we'll see. So we'll say here none, HTML5, JavaScript, and Jquery. Possibly we'll do it two different ways. All right. So what else do we have? Audio and video. Well, I think that would be nice to put something like that in there. I don't know about just a video clip. I'm sorry, just an audio clip, but we'll see. So I'm going to write that in here anyway, though. So audio and video. How about and or video? All right. Let's keep going. Fonts and printing, I don't know. Maybe we'll try to set up a CSS file that will just handle printing. But let's put it in there. Fonts and printing. All right. CSS transitions, transforms, animation. How about we'll just say CSS transitions and animations. We might put all that stuff in there. CSS transitions, transformations, animation, we'll just say etc. How's that? All right. How to design a website, I kind of have gone through that with you already. How to deploy a website on a web server? Yeah, I think we ought to do deployment. All right, what else do we have? JavaScript and Jquery, okay, and third-party development tools. So let's put all that in there. In other words, JavaScript, sometimes abbreviated JS, and Jquery. All right. And then finally, and our beginning is going off the page, I see that, we'll say third-party tools. Example, Bootstrap. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is when you look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's at least 11 more lectures. And guess what? It'll be quite a few more than 11. I'd rather take my time doing this and do it, hopefully, you'll agree, do it well, than rush through it. But that's just so you know what we've got coming up. So when we get to the JavaScript, we're going to do a lot of the stuff that's in here. Will we do everything? Probably not. But we'll hit the high points at least of both the JavaScript essentials, the Jquery essentials. Ideally, we'll have some of the advanced JavaScript stuff in there also. We'll just see how that goes. All right, so jumping back in here now. So what we have done is we have come in here and we have looked at, I'm going to get rid of these, this page. But now it's time to go up to this page. All right, my About page is pretty ugly. It doesn't have much stuff on it. I was going to check. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I think it's bigger than, or longer, whatever you want to say, wider, taller, I guess would be better, than the original page, I think. All right, but let's take a quick look at it, and we're not going to probably spend a lot of time on it. I'm not going to go through any of this because we went through this in the last lecture. So I won't go through any of that. I won't go through any of the header section. All right. When we get into this, I just decided to make this a section and to make the, oh, how did I do this? It's been a while. I'm sorry. So we've got in here section, ID equals about, did a clear fix. Oh, did the row and column. All right, and I believe I've mentioned this to you before, but just in case I have not, in fact, I know I did at one time or another, how to use two-column, there you go, how to create a two-column layout. I went back to our old friend at W3 Schools, and I said, you know what, I want a two-column layout, but I don't want it to be equal. So notice here's one with 75 and 25, and that's how it came. I kind of reversed it, and I put the 25 over here, 75 over here, but I used their ideas. So if you're wondering where I got this stuff, that's where it's from. They have a class of row, a div with a class of row, so I put that in there. And then they had a class, two classes, one called column, one called left. This was our story, and notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs. So that's what's on the left-hand side. Then on the right, our founders, the picture, and it may not really look like it, but what I was shooting for in here was for that woman right there to look like that woman right there. Again, I may not have succeeded that well, but you get the idea. All right. So in our founders, we had 1, 2 paragraphs. And that's it. We did our clear fix again, and we've got our footer. So let's take a quick look at the styling for this. Again, I styled it using the colors, the fonts, etc. for this website, but I used column, left, right, etc. I set that up pretty much in conjunction with the URL under W3 Schools that I just showed you. So we're going to add padding all the way around, 1 rem, which again is about 16 pixels, our midnight blue for the font color, our light blue for the background color. Then for the left-hand column, I made it 63%, and notice the other one was 30. I had to jack around with that a little bit. There's other ways you can do it other than the way I've done it. I also, for the left-hand column, added a 2-pixel solid midnight blue right border. So that line that you see right here, line 217, is that border that you see right here. All right, H2, H2. I believe they were both H2s. Let's double check. We wouldn't double check in here. We would double check back here. H2 our founders. H2 our story. Okay, good. All right. Then with the right column, we floated it right, and that took up 30%. The image, I said display block and center it. Okay, so I wanted a little control over it. Both of our H2s, our left H2 and our right H2, should have been centered, and 2 rem, which again, 32 pixels. All right, and the rest of the stuff here is for our footer. So that wasn't a real long lecture, and most of it was what we're going to be doing next. I understand that. But hopefully you've got an idea right now how we did this, so what made up, for lack of better words, those pages. And again, next, we're going to come in, and if I try to right now, you'll notice that virtually this looks really, really bad. All right, and the About page, well, That doesn't look very good either. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to try to make this responsive. Now, in making this responsive, I may end up adding things to the CSS that I don't have in there right now. I may put some containers in. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And I'll be back with that lecture shortly.